Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media, and today I'm not going to do anything fancy or funny or jokey for this introduction because today is going to be somewhat of a little bit of a rant. Now today I want to talk to you about one of my favorite things in the world to actually talk about and to play and to watch and to read, and that is Dungeons and Dragons. Primarily, I want to talk to you about the novels, the Dungeons and Dragons novels that have come out over the years, going as far back as when Gary Gygax was writing Gord the Rogue, set in the Greyhawk world of Dungeons and Dragons, all the way through to now. And quite a disturbing trend that has been happening over the past few years with regards to Dungeons and Dragons novels. So I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm not going to just do some jokey bullshit now. We're just going to get straight into okay, so when we talk about Dungeons and Dragons novels, we really have to split them up into two eras, and that is when TSR owned the intellectual properties to Dungeons and Dragons, and when Wizards of the Coast bought them out in 1997. Now, if you go back and have a look, when TSR had the properties up until 1997, they published around 242 novels. And I think that also includes the Endless Quest books, but I'm not really talking about the Endless Quest books here in this video. 242 novels set over all of their worlds, and that includes Forgotten Realms had, I believe, 64 novels. Dragonlance got 55 novels. Then you had Greyhawk, Mystara. I believe Eberron might have been Wizards of the Coast. I'm not too sure about that. But you had Ravenloft, Spelljammer, Dark Sun, all of these fantastic worlds that even if you didn't play the game, you could pick up and read these books and just become completely enamored with them. I first got my start playing Dungeons and Dragons in high school, but when I was in elementary school, I actually started with the Dragonlance Chronicles series, Dragons of Autumn Twilight, Dragons of Winter Night, Dragons of Spring Dawning. And my wife is actually listening to Dragons of Autumn Twilight at the moment via audiobook. One of my favorite books of all time, which quickly became one of my favorite book series, was Azure Bonds by Kate Novak and Jeff Grubb. Azure Bonds, of course, many of you might be familiar with that as the first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons scenario. Also, the fantastic computer game. Absolutely love the computer game on the old Commodore 64. So I was reading Dungeons and Dragons books before I ever actually played the game. I loved Dragonlance setting. I loved the Forgotten Realms setting. And when you look at the Forgotten Realms setting, I mean, I have a lovely map for everyone. Look at that. The Forgotten Realms, huge, vast, fantastic world where you could write, if you were so inclined as an author, you could write novels really in any sort of setting. You had the jungles of Chult, you had the Sword Coast, you had the Anarok Desert, you had Kalimport, Zakara, all of these amazing places. Wizards of the Coast would go on to purchase TSR in 1997, as I said earlier, and they would still produce novels, and the novels, which, to give credit to the company, and this kind of is a lot different to what happened with Star Wars, but that's kind of a whole other video I have planned. Most of the stuff remained canon in the novels when it came to the campaign settings. what you would find going back to TSR and then onwards is that there would be a trilogy, usually a trilogy, sometimes more, of novels that would coincide with the changing editions of the game itself. So you had, for example, I believe between first edition and second edition, you had the Shadowdale, Tantris, and Waterdeep, where three gods stole the Tablets of Fate. It might have been between second and third. I'm not entirely sure. But three gods steal the Tablets of Fate from Lord Ao, and all the gods are then banished to the realms, and they have to kind of work out how to get their divine powers back. And this is where you saw a shift in the gods themselves, where gods died, mortals became new deities. For example, Merkel, the god of death, was killed, and Kelemvor became the new god of death. Mistra transferred her powers to Midnight, and Bane was supposedly killed, and Cyric took over his portfolio. And these were changes that came about in the novels, and then you saw them in the editions of the game. That's great. That's fantastic. As time went on, you had more and more authors getting to play in these settings. You had more Ravenloft novels coming out. You had more Dragonlance novels coming out. Dragonlance shifted dramatically from the Chronicles to Legends to the War of Souls. You got the second generation, the children of the heroes of the first series of books coming up. Entertaining, fantastic, great fantasy stuff. I still have a lot of the books. Granted, they are in the omnibus format. For example, I still have my Dragonlance Legends, Time of the Twins, War of the Twins, Test of the Twins. Sorry, Time, War, Test, yeah. From back in the day, this is, of course, TSR, purchased at Colour Code Bookshop in Penrith. Then we get things like the War of the Spider Queen, Volume 1 and Volume 2, which kind of shook up things a bit. But what you had was a series of books here written by 6 different authors. So that was a really fun kind of collaboration. R.A. Salvatore's The Sellswords, focusing on 2 characters from his novels, Jarlaxle Bainry and Artemis Entreri. Troy Denning, great author, Return of the Archwizards, which brought Netheril back into the Forgotten Realms. Tim Pratt's Venom in Her Veins. Tim Pratt, of course, would go on to start writing some books for the Pathfinder Tales series set in Galorian. Pathfinder was, of course, Dungeons & Dragons 3.5-ish. When Dungeons & Dragons changed to 4th edition, not a lot of people liked the rule set. You can still get a lot of the old books on Amazon Kindle and audiobook. I have actually quite a few of them. I listen to quite a few of them. But all of this kind of started to change around 2016. In 2016, there were only 4 books released by Wizards of the Coast. The number is dropped kind of dramatically. And you have authors still writing like Ed Greenwood, who released Death Masks, Erin M. Evans, the Brimstone Angels series, where you basically have twin tieflings who are raised by a dragonborn father. One of them is a warlock, one of them is a fighter. Really, really great stuff. But sadly, the trend now, and this is the main crux of what I want to talk about. The trend now, we're getting 1 book a year. 1 book a year. And whereas Wizards of the Coast used to allow a lot of different authors to write different novels, it seems like they are banking all on 1 author these days, R.A. Salvatore. He arguably created one of the most, if not the most popular characters or adventuring parties in all of Dungeons and Dragons literature. Drizzt Do'Urden, the Drow Ranger, follower of the goddess Malachi. If I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, go fuck yourself. Canterbury, Wulfgar, Bruenor, and Regis the Halfling, who in the later books now goes by the name of Spider Paraffin. Okay, is this a good thing? No. To be fair, R.A. Salvatore is a New York Times best-selling author multiple times. Almost every one of his Forgotten Realms novels has reached the New York Times bestseller list, so he is incredibly talented. His books are fantastic. I highly recommend them. Go back and start with Homeland and work your way through the Crystal Shard, Streams of Silver, Halfling's Gem, and then the Paths of Darkness. And the journey that the characters take is phenomenal. I'm not dissing him as a writer. What I am saying is that there needs to be more. You have more worlds now in 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. They have Eberron. They've included some Magic the Gathering worlds in Ravnica and Theros. You have Wildmount from the Critical Role YouTube channel. You have all of these worlds. You have Ravenloft again. They brought back Ravenloft, for fuck's sake. Just start writing some more novels. For the past 4 years, or since 2017, we've been just getting one book. R.A. Salvatore, The Generations, Timeless, where they bring back Drizzt Do'Urden's father. Book 2, Boundless. Book 3, Relentless. They're good books. I'm not saying they're not. I mean, I'm really enjoying this trilogy. I haven't finished it yet. I'm really enjoying it. Remember the giant map I showed you earlier? The big map that folds out and you have all that cool stuff? This is the part of the world that Wizards of the Coast is using now. From Waterdeep up to Neverwinter and Luskan, and it's really hard to do this on camera, down to Baldur's Gate, and then you have Icewind Dale and all that. This part of the world here. Are you fucking kidding me? Look at the maps of the Forgotten Realms. The adventures in 5th edition go all over the place. All of the 5th edition adventure books, you have the dragons, the Rise of Tiamat, the Horde of the Dragon Queen. You've got Out of the Abyss, you go down the Underdark, Storm Giants, Thunder, I think it was called. Tomb of Annihilation. Not only that, there are characters in these adventure paths, or adventure books, I should say, that were in the novels. In Tomb of Annihilation, you have Dragonbait. You can meet Dragonbait as an NPC from the Finder's Stone trilogy. Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft has references to Jandar Sunstar, who was the main character in the very first Ravenloft novel, Vampire of the Mists. Larissa Snowmantle from Dance of the Dead. You have these new worlds, new series to explore. Do it. People will buy the books. Give authors a chance to play in this world that you own, that other authors have literally created. Please. Give us some more books set in Eberron. Heck, bring back some Dark Sun. Bring back Dragonlance. There are rumors that there is a new Dragonlance series being written by the original Chronicles authors, Margaret Weis and Tracy Hickman. I hope that is true. All I'm saying is you're putting all your eggs in one basket. Don't. Okay? If you have these books published, people are going to buy them. You're going to make money. We're going to get enjoyment from them. So just give us something else. I do Love reading about the companions, Drizzt Do'Urden and all of the side characters there, and the ruling drow houses in Menzoberranzan. I love reading about that stuff, and I will continue to read about that stuff, but all you're doing is making me go and look for fantasy literature somewhere else. Growing up, I was quite happy to just live in the worlds of Dungeons and Dragons. I really was. I was like those kids from that fucking awesome 80s cartoon show who got on the Dungeons and Dragons ride. I was quite happy to do that. But now, when you're releasing one book a year, come on, please, just give us something more. I'm gonna wrap it up there. A few recommendations. Please go and check out the Dragonlance Chronicles. You will love them. The Finderstone trilogy, Shadowdale, Tantras and Waterdeep. Off the top of my head, I cannot remember what the trilogy is called. Check out R.A. Salvatore's writings. Ed Greenwood, any books about the Wizard Elminster. And Ed Greenwood, of course, created the Forgotten Realms, for fuck's sake. So please, just, I don't know what else to say. Just go out and find the old books and enjoy them and love them as much as I did growing up as a kid. You will not regret it. So with that said, I'm just going to say, could you all just go and please read a fucking book, people?